is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to look at the SOTA Street Fighter Revolutions Edmund Honda, or E-Honda, or Honda figure. Same batch of figures as Dhalsim, and he has the same kind of screwed up problems as Dhalsim. They did get better a little bit with Zangief. Armika is still in the same boat as these guys, so Zangief is the only one that really turned out okay. But we'll get to those later. Let's talk about Honda. This is the gray and white version from the 2-pack. This is the red and yellow with green face paint, single carded variant. We're going to set them all aside because they're all the same figure with the same accessories. And we're just going to look at the standard Player 1 version, which is the one most people are concerned about because that's the one they want. So I'm going to say right off the bat, I do like Honda as a figure. He's pretty decent, but he has some problems. First thing being, he is gigantic, probably out of scale. He stands really tall. He stands in at just about 8 inches tall to the top of his top knot. So that's pretty much out of scale. If memory serves, he's not supposed to be that tall. I know he's supposed to be kind of crouched over like this for the most part, which he can do pretty well, but he's still too big, I think. I don't remember him being that tall. He's still 7 inches tall when he's all crouched over. So he's out of scale. But he's okay, and he doesn't look too bad once you put him in with the other figures. He has 2 different heads, one open mouth and one closed mouth. They have decent paintwork. Sometimes you get googly eyes, as you can see in the open mouth, but this one has just about perfect eyes, and the paintwork is good enough for me. The red lines are pretty well done. The teeth are pretty well done. Everything's pretty well done, except for sometimes you get googly eyes. So that's about that. He's got 2 fist hands, one for each side. They have the unfinished sculpt syndrome just like Dhalsim, and they do not have painted fingernails. So Dhalsim is a step above in this regard. Then he has 2 of the open palms for each side, which is good because that's pretty iconic for him. They really have unfinished sculpt. There's a lot of harsh edges on there. And look how big the hands are, and look how tiny the pegs are. That's a problem. They don't peg in well at all. As you can see, this one, even once it's pegged in, it just doesn't stay in very well, which kind of gives it better articulation, but it's just going to come out and not look good. So that is a problem for Honda. He's got little tiny pegs for his gigantic hands. It's just kind of not the best situation. That's it for accessories. He's got this skirt thingy. I don't know what it's called technically. The paintwork on it is passable, but it's definitely not great. The lines are fuzzy and choppy and not really well done. It is a softer material, so it won't get in the way too much, but it's stiff enough to get in the way. My cat's digging into stuff again. So if you want to count that as an accessory, you can. It is a separate piece. It can come off if you separate the torso. I don't recommend you do that because most of them are loose and will come apart on their own, and it's really hard to get them back together. So if you pop yours off, you may be stuck with it that way. So don't do it if you want to listen to me. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a double ball peg. His head's really loose and hard to get down sometimes, so be careful with that. But once it is on, it's still kind of loose, but it won't just fall off. And you do have a pretty good range of motion with him, so I'm okay with it. He has a ball disc shoulder, which is not made well. As you can see, the disc doesn't fit properly in there. The range of motion is really limited, and it's pretty loose. He has a bicep swivel, which works fine, so that's okay. Single jointed elbow, not quite gonna get 90 degrees out of it, but it's not particularly loose, so I'm okay with that. We already talked about the wrist. There is a pivot on each hand. Be careful though, because like I said, the pegs are tiny. But the pivot does work fairly well on all the hands. It's tight enough to work and not too tight to break, so that's good. The torso is on a giant double ball peg, but like I said, they pop apart really easily and don't go back together very easily once you do that, so I'm not going to even screw with it, but it is same articulation as the head for the torso. He has T-jointed hips, so they move that way. They're not too loose, so that works. Side to side works pretty well. Thigh swivel works well. Double jointed knees. Actually, the legs are probably the best part about him. He has an ankle pivot with the Marvel Legends, the new Marvel Legends style of ankle rocker. So he's kind of limited in the foot department, but it still works. His feet are kind of unfinished again, just like the hands. Toes are individually sculpted, which is decent sculpt work, but they just didn't finish it, and there's no paint on the toenails. So he does have problems, but he'll definitely do as far as filling in the gap in the SOTA Street Fighter collection. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't recommend the figure, to be honest. There's too many problems, and the paintwork's not the best, and all that kind of stuff. So if it wasn't for the fact that it's Edmund Honda, and we need him in the SOTA line, or in the Street Fighter line, then I wouldn't recommend him. Otherwise, I do, so you make that call on your own. Watch out for bootlegs, though, because the bootlegs have even worse quality control than this guy does, and I know he's a legit one. The paint's actually about the same, but the joint condition is far worse, so be careful. Oops. So be careful. He has a waist twist, too, by the way. Forgot to mention that. So be careful with him. Do get one if you have a Street Fighter collection, but be very careful. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the rest of the Street Fighter figures, and in the meantime, keep collecting.